Yeah, hi everyone. Appreciate you hearing us out. So, yeah, my name is Richard Smith. Refract is in a nutshell. We exist to help companies not only have better conversations in their sales team and achieve better outcomes, but also to get much more data-driven insight into the conversations that are happening across their sales team and the voice of the market. And really excited to be talking with Jason today, who is Director of Inside Sales for Global Shares, and talking about his initial experience of working with Refract and some of the challenges that he's looking to solve. So, yeah, Jason, as a starting point, do you want to just give us a brief intro into yourself and the business at Global Shares?
Yeah, perfect, Rich. I appreciate it. So I am the Global Head of Inside Sales and Global Shares, as Rich mentioned. Global Shares, just to give you a quick 30 seconds, been around since 2005. We're the world's only global independent equity incentive provider. So what does that mean? That means we help the biggest companies, both public and private, with their share plans, their equity management, their ownership, employee ownership. My specific role came on about a year ago when we launched a new side of the business, which is focused on helping founders, co-founders, startups, VCs, law firms on the kind of, I suppose, the initial startup phase of companies. So, as we go along in a minute, Rich, I'll touch on some of the aspects that have been really key. Some of the guys beforehand, Howard and Peter, for example, made some great points that I might touch back on. But yeah, so that's what we've been around for a long time. We're global. We're 300 plus employees. We're in 17 offices. We're in 100 countries. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
So someone who was building out this inside sales function, and I think when you started working with Refract, combining that with the new battle of remote sales teams, what were some of the key challenges and that you were looking to tackle, and reasons why you decided to get us on board?
Yeah, I think just to kind of, I suppose, step back a bit, I suppose a bit about myself is that I'm a big people person, as you know, Rich, and I'm very much about focus on helping develop each individual sales rep to be the best they can be. My first ever job was selling car tires when I was 15. I've done the SDR job, the inside rep job. I've done sales director, VP, and so on and so on. So I've learned over the years that it's really important to focus on people. And when I first joined Global Shares, one of the things that we kind of noticed quite early was that there was a lot of hand-holding needed. There was a lot of one-to-one focus needed. And the great thing was I was able to do that, but I wasn't able to do that on a one-to-one basis, which was taking up a lot of my time, as we spoke about previously. So one of the first things I identified was I need to multiply myself. I need to multiply my eyes and ears and my opinions, my tips and advice. And that was one of the first things that we touched on when I spoke about Refract, was the ability for me to do my job, but 10 times over.
Right.
So you're getting through more numbers, but you're not diminishing the quality of what you're trying to do. And that was a really big thing when we first started.
Right. And then how did you go through that process? So when you were reviewing the market and potential tools for the team, what was it about Refract that specifically, as us as a company and a partner, that made you want to go forward with us?
I'll give you personally a nice little plug here. So I've both been a seller and a buyer over the years, and the first thing starts with is people. Now when we initially spoke, there was no COVID-19, right? We spoke late last year. Right. There was no more remote working. I didn't have that compelling driver. I had other compelling drivers, but that wasn't one of them. But what really stood out to me was dealing with yourself and the likes of Matt and the guys just really get it. You really get the challenge of sales. I think one of the big things as a buyer is I want to talk to people that understand my challenge, that understand that, like, my time, I can't have 50 demos a day. I don't have the time. If I did do that, I probably wouldn't have a job. So I need to make sure that the time I'm spending is with people that understand my challenges, that are trying to understand it, which you guys done a fantastic job with. But ultimately, where you guys came in was, and I'll plug Aircall as well, because it was kind of a combined effort, as you know, Rich. The API plugins, the streamlining of technology. So if you look at what I'm trying to do internally in Global Shares, is whether we bring in 1 rep, 10 reps, 50 reps, whether it's a rep from an SDR to inside sales or out to in, I want them to be able to just fall into a process and understand that there's a process from start to finish. And like we don't have that finished today, but where Refract came in is that it was a critical part of that process. It integrates with AirCall. James made a great point just previously about how they use, Refract and AirCall.
Yeah.
It's the exact same way we use it. So for me, what it allows me to do is put that in place. I don't have to spend any time looking at implementations. It's a couple of clicks of a button and off I go. And that was really a huge selling point, was the functionality and APIs, which really
yeah, brilliant. And as well as, I know that one of the drivers, but for you to buy the product was you were in the process and still are you're ramping a new team. So can you tell us a little bit more about how Refract has helped with that process of getting you guys up to speed and firing on all cylinders?
Yeah, so if you look at the side of the business that I'm, I suppose, running the inside sales team on, this is a new side of the business for us. So what does that mean? It means that understanding our target personas, understanding the competitors, understanding the USPs that we have that maybe we don't know about, understanding what our customers' challenges are. We think we know them. We've done a lot of research, but we're not going to know everything. So where tools like this come in is it allows us to pivot our strategy very, very quickly. It allows us to pivot our marketing very, very quickly because we understand customer sentiment. We understand pitch and tone. We understand where the reps are falling down. We're capturing all of that. Then if you add to that the whole global pandemic, working remotely, my sales team, their productivity has gone up 42% since we've worked from home. So when we look at, what teams are struggling from home and what teams aren't, I can say with confidence, and I hope our CEO would probably agree with me, that one of the teams he hasn't had to worry about from a productivity point of view is the inside sales team, because we've got these tools, because we've got the ability to say, look, we know what we need to do, whether we're in the office or 1,000 miles away from each other. And I think that's really where, again, Refract has been able to, along with other tools like AirCall, have really helped.
Right. And can you share any specific examples, success stories so far? So, I think thinking about this more from the salesperson having the ability to be able to capture and review and analyze their own conversations with customers. And yeah, it'd be great to hear if you've got any specific examples.
Well,
I
think I spoke to you a couple of weeks back about one specific example. I know I spoke to Matt about it as well. So I've hired 6 people during the pandemic. Most of them have never met each other. We've never been in the office. What does that mean? It means that it's very hard to onboard them and ramp them up remotely. Definitely, it's my first time. I've been managers in previous places. I've never had to onboard people remotely. It's a great challenge. But where Refract comes in is it allows me, and I'll give you one specific example of one of the guys on my team, James, who started back at the end of April, start of May. And the ramp up time for a global shares rep, inside sales rep, before I joined was about 4 months. Because we're talking about fintech, it's a complex industry, there's a lot to learn. But sales isn't that complex at the end of the day, it's people talking to people. So the first thing I done with James was I said, look, your first week in the job, I just want you to sit down and listen to some previous calls from some of my reps. Just listen to the questions they ask, how they answer questions, the pitch, the tone, how we pitch it. And on the Thursday of his first week, he came back to me, he's like, yeah, I'm ready to take some calls. I was like, hold on a second. And he actually rang a lead and booked a meeting on that day. So you've gone from 4 months to 4 days. Now, let's be honest, right? It's not 4 days, but it just shows you the power of, having the ability to share experience from across different reps and immerse themselves in the conversation, as you know, Rich. It was truly powerful. And you're doing that during a pandemic as well. Like, I've never met the guy face to face, so it's even more powerful,
Yeah, and we hear this a lot. I think where Refract has kind of evolved as a technology has been traditionally very much that manager coaching platform. But where we're seeing it go towards is actually that sales rep productivity tool, where you, without having to do anything, salespeople can be going in there and actually understanding what good sounds like across their sales team. What are some of the things that the best reps are doing, and how can they just replicate them? And really kind of taking that headache away from you. It doesn't have to just be you teaching them all this stuff. They can actually just learn just by listening and learning from their peers.
I totally agree with you. And I think I actually wrote down a couple of points earlier that I wanted to hit back on, because I think it really resonates here with us. I think Peter mentioned earlier about inexperienced people, so wanting to bring on junior people that are inexperienced and trying to, I suppose, make them beneficial. I think I wrote down making inexperienced people give experienced customers value. That's what I've put down. And what do I mean by that? Most of the reps that I'll hire will know nothing about equity compensation and share plans and investment and all that kind of thing. Now that will, they'll get educated and they'll ramp up. But because we're giving them the platform to immerse themselves in just understanding the conversation to have, they're automatically bringing value. Because at the end of the day, there's lots of sales tools out there, but a customer wants to have a genuine conversation with someone else that understands their challenge. And that's really where Refractive come in as well. It gives me the ability to ramp up inexperienced people that maybe it's their first job in sales or it's their 10th job, but they have never done this job, and just make them a small bit better day on day. And I think that's really been the big thing.
And then just finally, Jason, how are you looking to kind of leverage Refract further as you build the team out, specifically around kind of automation, also understanding the market that you're selling to as
so
well?
I think there's some exciting developments with yourselves around like alert triggers and automation, and that'll be key. So if you look at it today, we've automated quite a lot. We'd probably like to automate a bit more. We don't want to automate everything. I'm not a massive fan of automating absolutely everything because I think you do lose that small bit of personalization that you need. But just continuing to add tools in, continuing to add stuff that complements our workflow. So at the moment, I'm looking at tools that can supply us data in the right regions. That's not a key for everyone on the call to sell me data, by the way. But anyway, but yeah, it's just continuing to look at what plugs in to what we already have, how it complements it, and how it can give us that, extra 1 or 2% to allow us to scale faster.